WHPC from the Pressbox right here, every Monday 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Today's video isn't going well for those who check out our YouTube page.
That's it. You know, we got to get a better camera.
I want to show off my shirt, my free rock and roll.
What's
from the Alarm.
I should have played some alarms.
I saw Mike Peters on Saturday.
We should play some alarms.
And Free Rock and Roll is actually the theme song from the film Vinyl, which was about
not the movie, not the TV series.
Not the TV series. It was a kind of an independent film, let's say, about a kind of a trick that the Alarm played on the music industry several years ago.
I remember that. And it was very smart.
It was.
Anyway, we talked about the Yankees. We talked about the Mets. Big stories this week in New York. Of course, they're playing today and tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. I'm sorry. Yes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 home, 2 away. Right. That's what's become now. No 3-day, weekend series anymore with this type of thing. The least important thing right now is, the Subway Series. And right now it's about getting players. One thing that happened big for the while we were away last week, we weren't away, but it happened on Wednesday. Ryan Fitzpatrick has signed with the Jets. He got his
finally.
He got his 1-year deal that he had.
It's really a 2-year deal, but it's in the reality is it's a 1-year deal.
It's a 1-year deal, $12 million, which is the deal he put out there a while ago.
Right.
The Jets wanted it for 3 years, guaranteed the $12 million, the $6 million after that.
Right.
Now this deal could mean 2 things. First of all, he could crap out this year. Last year could be
it's entirely possible.
It could have been a fluke. This year he craps out, and the Jets say bye-bye. Of course, they won't have a player to replace him with, but that's something else.
Gino.
Yeah. But if he does step up, or should I say get desperate enough to lead the team, how's that? I don't know. It's a phrase I heard Gary Cohen use.
Desperate enough to lead the team?
Well, he didn't use lead the team. He said the Mets are desperate enough where they have to force themselves to win or something along those lines. I think I would use. I found out the reason why you hate stepped up because it's a cliche. You hate
it's an extreme cliche.
It's a bad cliche.
Stop talking about it. Let's talk about real stuff instead of regurgitating the nonsense that you want to put on the air.
Let's say Fitzpatrick does lead the team to the playoffs.
Yes.
Which they haven't been there in a while. Let's say they get past even the first round.
Yes.
Which would be even more exciting. He's going to be making $20 million next year.
From who?
From the Jets.
No.
If they make the second round of the playoffs, the Jets are going to sign him for 20, maybe 15.
He's an aging quarterback.
I know that, but they need if he leads them, they will have to sign him. That's why he wanted the 1-year deal.
Not necessarily. Maybe they'll draft a quarterback or something. It comes down to are the Jets going to play this game with Ryan Fitzpatrick every season? And I don't think they will.
2 more seasons after this one.
Well,
and that's only if they win.
If Fitzpatrick has a good year this year, then the Jets will wind up having to renegotiate with him next year because even though it is a 2-year contract. If Ryan Fitzpatrick has a terrible season or gets hurt, or if the Jets decide they want to go in another direction, there's a $5 million cap hit for next year. Right. It's built into the contract. So it kind of behooves the Jets next year to work out some kind of arrangement with Fitzpatrick because they're already on the hook for $5 million.
Right.
So, but if Fitzpatrick, let's say he duplicates last season,
which would be great.
Which would be great, but let's say in this case then the Jets actually make the playoffs instead of dying on the last day of the season. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick is worth that much more because you can't sign him to a long-term deal. He's already 34 years old?
No.
He's up there.
Not 34.
Check on the computer. Type in Ryan Fitzpatrick age. But he is a guy who you can't build a team around him because he is of an advanced age for a quarterback that you don't want to be on the hook that long. The other issue is, what if Chan Gailey gets a head coaching job? 33, I see?
33, November 24th.
So he's almost 34. He'll be 34 during the season.
Right.
So I'm right. So you can't give him more than a 2-year deal.
Right.
Because, and again, like I said, if Chan Gailey decides he wants to be a head coach again, which is entirely possible, then what happens? Because Ryan Fitzpatrick has only shown in his career that he can be successful playing in a Chan Gailey offense. So now do the Jets want to be on the hook with Ryan Fitzpatrick for $15 million plus a year when the only offensive coordinator he's ever produced for is possibly coaching another team? So now you're going to have to make sure Chan Gailey stays happy for your franchise and doesn't have aspirations of being head coach, or if he does, you have to overpay and make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league.
Right.
It's not good business.
It depends if the Jets win this year, how far they go into the playoffs. That is the main thing. The Jets haven't had that in a while. They haven't been there since Rex, and they need to get the fan base a little excited about this team.
I think the fan base is plenty excited now.
Well, right now it is
because they have a quarterback who they see as being a legitimate quarterback, and they have a chance. And I don't think anybody thought they had a chance with Geno as a starting quarterback, including me.
Well,
they can talk about all the progress Geno is making all they want. The only real progress that we're going to see out of Geno is if Fitzpatrick somehow winds up being terrible and Geno comes in and shows that he can play, or B, Fitzpatrick gets hurt and Geno is forced to start and actually produces, which has been a rarity in his career.
I think he's been practicing a little more. He was practicing off season. I know that.
Well, it's not about practicing more. It's just about getting better and making better decisions and throwing the ball more accurately. That's, decisions are not really something that a quarterback can practice. That's the problem with the job. It's difficult to put yourself into game situations where you have 300-pound dudes charging at you and ready to put some hurt on you. You can't replicate that in practice because nobody's allowed to hit the quarterback. So you need to make those decisions during games, and that's why, especially for this season, exhibition games will be very important for Geno Smith to show if he actually has improved, or if he's still the guy that's going to sit back there and take too long to throw and get sacked.
There's an injury that happens, like what happened to Sanchez in
right.
his exhibition game.
Exactly. That's the only way I see him getting any starts this season.
Well, I agree with you on that. But if like I said, Ryan Fitzpatrick leads the Jets to first round, even better second round, he will have a 2-year contract. $15 million maybe.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but would he get a raise from this season?
Yeah,
probably a small raise, but again, I don't think the Jets can commit that much to a guy who is going to turn 34 this season, and again, has only shown success with one offensive coordinator in his career. Otherwise, he's a journeyman. So you can't treat him like a star.
He
is the very definition of journeyman. He's played for like 7 teams in his career. He is the very definition of journeyman. So you can't reward. You can't all of a sudden say, oh, Fitz at 34, he's figured it out. It doesn't work that way.
Maybe it does. Who knows? The Olympics start this week.
How about the Olympics?
Any NBC affiliated channel will be carrying something along the way. They are in Rio. Which
I know Suzanne Leonard is very excited.
Suzanne loves the Olympics, our sister. The sad part is, first of all, you got the mosquito thing.
Zika.
The Zika. Second of all, the drinking water has more sewage in it.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to need bottled water the entire time.
Poland Spring, get this. Start shipping.
It's more than that. And plus, the transportation system.
It's not really finished.
It's not really
finished. And the hotels aren't really finished.
And the question is, when are they going to stop giving countries that maybe can't handle it the Olympics?
And there was that memorable sign from a month or so ago when they were they brought the media in or whatever, and they were greeted at the airport by cops and security people with a sign that said, "Welcome to hell," because we're not going to protect you because they're not paying us.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, it reminds me of Greece a couple of years ago, or a couple of Olympics ago. Now, Greece always does things at the last minute. That's the way the country works. And Greece did.
Well, Brazil is pretty much the same way.
Yeah, but they're not going to get it done. At least Greece, they got everything done. I remember there was
Russia was the same way. There were plugs in the wall that weren't connected to any wiring.
Right.
So it was like, okay, what do I do? I'm plugging this thing in. There's no juice.
Right.
So and they had these weird toilets that had like kind of brownish water in them, and they actually had a sign that said, "Don't fish in the toilets." It was ridiculous.
Quickly, soccer. We are a soccer-friendly show. The Red Bulls and the NYCFC
Rob's favorite team.
Both played, and what happened with them, bro?
Well, Bradley Wright Phillips got a goal in the final minute, and which allowed the Red Bulls to tie the Chicago Fire 2-2.
Right.
Bradley Wright Phillips now is the Red Bulls' all-time leading scorer. He scored more goals in all competitions. Now, we're not talking MLS games necessarily, but Cup games as well.
Okay.
He has scored more goals than any Red Bulls/Metro Stars player in history. Goes above Thierry Henry on that list, who actually passed Juan Pablo Angel, who was a beloved player by the fans way back when. But obviously a significant goal because it got the Red Bulls a point in a game they probably didn't deserve a point. The other bad thing for the Red Bulls, and we'll have more on this next week, is Dax McCarty was hurt during the game, real bad tackle, and wound up with having to be helped off the field. Was supposed to go for a scan, I think today, so we'll know more next week about his condition. Dax McCarty, longtime Red Bull, really the heart and soul of that team, and he needs to be healthy for them to do anything this season, really. And as far as NYCFC, what a great game. I actually watched most of that game. My boy Tim Howard is now playing for the Colorado Rapids, and was as furious as I've ever seen Tim Howard in goal, because Tim Howard doesn't give up 5 goals in a game. The Rapids defense was atrocious.
Right.
I mean, they just looked like they didn't even want to play defense. And when that happens, the goalie is the guy who pays for it. And Tim Howard, I mean, the good thing for NYCFC, Frank Lampard had a hat trick. I mean, he's a guy who there's been so much drama surrounding him because of the delay last year with him coming over from Manchester City to join NYCFC, and then this year he's had injuries, but a hat trick for, they called him Super Frank when he played at Chelsea.
It's interesting, NYCFC last year wasn't as great of a team. This year they're a much better team.
Well, they're in first place anyway.
Right,
I mean,
right.
The East isn't the best division. The West is obviously the better division or conference in MLS. But NYCFC they're battling. They're showing that they have some talent. David Villa leads the league in scoring, and their international players between Villa and Pirlo and Lampard are obviously producing. So those guys, when you can get you bring in the names, you bring them in for the name value and to help with attendance and draw people to your team. But when they produce, that's the ultimate for an MLS team. Like long time ago when the Metro Stars had Lothar Matthäus, who the only reason he came to New York was because he wanted to chase his 21-year-old girlfriend when he was 38, 39 years old. He wasn't even interested in playing. So that was a disaster because it was good for attendance early in the season, but then fans saw that, all right, this guy doesn't care and the team's not doing that well, so why am I going to bother? So that's, if you can get those guys in and